Hey everybody, my name is Michael, and today we're discussing about the FBI making their own cryptocurrency token. That's it. They finally decided today's the day. Let's get in on the action. Everybody else is making a bunch of money except for us. We need more tax dollars, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to manipulate the markets. Well, sort of. So they have created their own token, actually. But as always, FBI doing FBI things. They're trying to bust some people doing nefarious activities. In this case, on Wednesday, a judge unsealed a criminal case with wide impacts. 18 defendants, 18 individuals and companies were accused of manipulation for cryptocurrency markets and artificially boosting these tokens. Pump and dumps, Jordan Belfort, all that sort of stuff. So remember the Wild West days, about a decade ago with cryptocurrency, where it was kind of gray area. Not so much. It certainly is heading down a path where there's a lot more regulation, and going forward each year it's going to be trickier, especially in the United States of America. So if you're planning to do this, first off, don't have any American ties. You should probably renounce your American citizenship and move far, far away to a country with no extradition to America if you're planning to play in the big leagues with millions of dollars. If you're not, there's no reason to actually care. They're going for the big whale. So the FBI basically wanted to focus on one company. This company was valued at a couple $2 billion market cap. And basically, they were supposed to be lured in by the FBI to manipulate the FBI's token. And once they had enough evidence, that's it. Company is shut down. The bots are shut down. The company execs are taken in. So it's the first criminal prosecution by the Department of Justice against a financial services firm for crypto market manipulation. And this is probably the first indictment of many to come, because we all know there's been actually thousands upon thousands of these well-publicized cases for American corporations and American individuals. And even if you're abroad, there's still a lot of Americans abroad that are participating in this. And cryptocurrency, whereas before a lot of people thought, hey, it's pretty easy to stay anonymous, it is very difficult to stay anonymous. There's a super easy way, especially with AI right now, to track all these paper trails. Yeah, maybe is an extra step or two compared to using cash. But once you get really into it, if you don't know what you're doing, it's 10 times easier to find out exactly where the money's going compared to cash. That's right. So they previously charged an individual. This gentleman was named by Abraham Eisenberg. Heisenberg. Oh man, what a awesome name there. So Avi, that's also interesting, was convicted in April. He was basically rigging a platform called Mango Markets. Some of you may have heard of that. How did Abraham get busted by the FBI? Well, according to a statement by Jody Cohen, that was the special agent that was in charge of the FBI's Boston office, the task force, the Bureau decided to take an unprecedented step, and they created their own cryptocurrency token. They also created a fake company. Now, we have to go all the way back in history. Before cryptocurrency ever existed, market manipulation, well, it's existed for a long time. At the core of it, you have an asset that needs to be artificially inflated by one or multiple individuals, companies, whales that are able to then take their entire stockpile and sell it, dump it on everybody else who saw the hype around it. They told their friends and family about it. Everyone got in on the action, except they didn't realize there was already the early investors, the people who were manipulating it, who were waiting for this. The trap was snared, and that was done, and they lost all their money, except for those few individuals who might have come out with millions of dollars. You had this back before the 1929 crash. You had this back with gold and commodities. You had this back before 2008, and you certainly have it with cryptocurrency. One of the methods that these enterprises use is called wash trading. You basically have fake trades. You have a whole stack of buy orders and a whole stack of sell orders, and they're all manipulated to produce demand, make it seem like, oh, there are a lot of people really want this. Get the FOMO, fear of missing out, and suddenly click and you're ensnared. A lot of cryptocurrency offshore exchanges where they don't really have to worry about America all that much, as long as they know what they're doing. A lot of analysts estimate that as much as 50% or more of this trading is inflated, and you have a lot of wash trading. And the top guys, the cryptocurrency exchange owners, are billionaires at that point. And it is well known, everybody knows, all the exchanges are manipulating. The extent as to how much manipulation is on every single trade, we may never know, but we can guess that a lot of these trades, eventually these companies are going to go belly up as soon as regulation changes in their countries or the competition steamrolls over them. So the Department of Justice basically targeted 3 market makers and their employees, and the prosecutors alleged that they were offering wash service trading. They just needed a little bit of dough. So the FBI created NexFundAI. It was operated on the Ethereum blockchain, and eventually they actually met up with some of these market makers to discuss, hey, we need to employ you guys. We want to work with you. Can you help us boost this token, create a little bit of activity, make a little pump and dump here, and we'll all get rich. So one of the defendants described himself as the mastermind of the whole group, and he explained that his company used a ton of bots to buy and sell at the same time on a bunch of centralized exchanges, generates a bunch of trading volume. He agreed to meet the FBI in person, so that's a big no-no right there, and he asked for an upfront payment. Only $2,000. He said that up until the week before he was busted, the bots were making millions of dollars for him in wash trades. And then all the bots were, of course, deactivated and the company shut down per the request of the FBI. Now, what's interesting is when you go to DEX Screener, you can see that a token that was actually launched on October 9th, it was called NexFundAI, was still trading actively, with a market cap of around $237,000 at the time of publication. Now, right now, here's where we're at. NexFundAI, Wrapped Ethereum, Uniswap. Okay, we got some action here. Look at that. Nice little volume, $3.7 million, 4,000, almost 5,000 transactions, $25,000 liquidity, and it fell down to $59,000 worth of market cap there. So what was the company in question? It was called Saitama. It was a Massachusetts incorporated crypto manipulation company. It was a market cap of $7.5 billion. Saitama worked with one of the alleged market makers, Gotbit, and they basically manipulated the market, obviously. What did the Department of Justice allegedly post about the executives of Saitama? That they were selling tens of millions of dollars of tokens for profits. The Gotbit co-founder back in 2019 actually had an interview with CoinDesk, and he said that his business was not entirely ethical. Why not? Just put it out in the open there. A couple of the defendants of the 18 operated internationally, one in Portugal, one in Russia, and 5 have already pled guilty or have agreed to plead guilty. On top of that, the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, also filed civil complaints, basically, security law violations, all that stuff. So altogether, there was 4 cryptocurrency companies, for these market makers and the employees of the companies. $25 million worth of cryptocurrency has been seized. Multiple trading bots have been deactivated. The acting U.S. Attorney Joshua Levy has been quoted as saying, wash trading has been long outlawed in the financial markets, and cryptocurrency is no exception. These are cases where an innovative technology, cryptocurrency, met a century-old scheme, the pump and dump. The message today is, if you make false statements to trick investors, that's fraud. Period. That's it. And if you take a look at the FBI's own report last year, 2023, they actually just released it last month because they don't have all the data for this year just yet. Obviously, we're still running. Their 2023 cryptocurrency fraud report, there was over 69,000 complaints, of which $5.6 billion was reported losses. The most common fraud was investment fraud, with about $3.9 billion lost. Both Pennsylvania and New Jersey were in the top 10 states for the most reported complaints and the most reported victim losses. In 2023, Pennsylvania was ranked 8th for reported complaints, over 1,770 reported complaints. This was around $123.5 million. In 2023, New Jersey was ranked 9th, 1,730 complaints, and that was $179.4 million, it ranked 5th. So in total, almost 69,468 complaints. There was a 45% increase in losses since 2022, and I'm sure the same pattern for 2024. It's going to be a lot larger. There's greater values. Most of the complaints were elderly people over 60 years old. 16,806 of the 69,500, basically, they had the greatest amount of losses, over 1.6, almost $1.6.5 billion. Under 20 had the least amount. Because there's less people who are using cryptocurrency who are so gullible to fall for some of these scams. I'm sorry, I'm telling it how it is. Under 20-year-olds, there was a report that came out that around 83% of Gen Z, millennials, all people who have been exposed to cryptocurrency ever since a very young age through TikTok, through YouTube, through social media, through the darknet. You have financial advisors in banks and financial institutions that are trying to sell to this next generation. They realize a huge majority of them have heard about cryptocurrency and digital assets, not just cryptocurrency, but they're also investing in it. And there's going to be a greater amount of individuals investing in it. And if you're an old, antiquated investor that's going to be like, oh, I don't advise this, you're going to turn away the next generation. And maybe it's not going to hurt you tomorrow or next week, but in 5 years, it certainly will. The age bracket that was next up in line that had the greatest amount of losses was 50 to 59-year-olds. They had almost $1 billion, $901 million lost, but they didn't have as many complaints as the next one, which was 30 to 39-year-olds. So it was only 8,900 complaints compared to 10,849 complaints for the 30 to 39-year-olds, but they didn't have as much losses. They only had $693 million of losses. The under 20 category only had $14 million of losses, so a teeny tiny number. The total count was 858 complaints. That's it. 2017, they had less than 5,000 complaints. In 2018, that number grew well past 35,000 complaints. Then it dropped 2019 to below 30,000. Went back up again 2020, but it still couldn't beat 2018 numbers. 2021 and went down a little bit. 2022 is when it went up to between 50 and 55,000 complaints. Apart from investment schemes, the next common complaint is fake tech support, and that's probably where most of these elderly individuals are getting, their losses from. 8,700 complaints were from tech support. Another 8,700 complaints were with personal data breaches, identity fraud. So I'm sure both of those are kind of together. Again, probably the elderly ones. Extortion is next with 8,600 complaints. Again, probably the elder ones. Confidence, romance schemes, again, 3,700. You have government impersonation, 2,200. Some of these are super easy that like the 20, 30-year-olds, I'm sorry, we've been exposed to this our entire lives. We know exactly what to look out for. There's smaller stuff where there's barely any complaints, but there's complaints with like real estate and ransomware and lottery, sweepstakes, inheritance fraud, the typical Nigerian prince, whatever, credit card, check fraud. Who uses checks anymore, right? Employment fraud. There have been 300 cases of SIM swapping. So for 20-year-olds, that's for everybody. That's probably the scariest one out of all of these. There have been even threats of violence complaints, copyright complaints, botnet complaints. There is one that says crimes against people that are underage here. I don't know, employment, data breaches, advanced fee. There's a whole bunch of these. Phishing, spoofing. I think phishing, spoofing, and the SIM swaps are probably the one that a lot of people will have to worry about the most, other than investment crimes, right? Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to be careful where you invest your money, and you have to know most of the market is manipulated. Overall amount of complaints came from California. It's one of the largest states. Illinois is number 6 on there. Over 200 countries, and America's number 1 in complaints, with next up Canada and the UK, and then Nigeria and India. Why do criminals go for cryptocurrency? Well, they think it's anonymous, and in some regards, it can be if you know what you're doing. It's also pretty easy to get the money compared to certain other forms. At the end of the day, you have to be careful of what you're doing, and I just wanted to tie this all in together. Most of the money is going to be lost through investments, pump and dumps. That's it. It's the age-old scam. It's not going to be anything too crazy. Is there a lot of money to be made from pump and dump accounts? Oh yeah. If you're the owner of a huge bot network, and especially in the future with AI, there's a lot. And especially if you're outside of the borders. But anyways, with that, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and take care.